Hello, nerds. We are talking about another reaction. This one's not a video reaction. We're just reacting to audio one more time. This is the last Protest the Hero reaction for this album because I now have the album, so I'm going to go listen to it. So I can't exactly react to something I've already heard. Though, as I said, I believe at the beginning of the Avatar video, I am working on a music appreciation video series. It's just a matter of logistics when I can get them recorded because I have so many other things going on. But we're here to talk about Protest the Hero, and we are also here to do this. Okay, structure, things. First, we're going to talk a little bit. I mean, we've done a number of Protest the Hero videos at this point, so I feel like my relationship with this band and a little bit of the band's history has already been covered. But just to kind of reiterate a couple of things, I love this band. When I heard their first record, Kazaya, which is not technically their first record, they had a record that they put out themselves before that, but they were even younger, and it was a different vocal delivery from Roddy. I've heard that record even too, and it's good. It's not as great as Kazaya, but Kazaya, when I first heard that, it made me question whether or not I should continue playing music because I, for whatever reason, don't have the ability in my left hand or my right to do the things that they do on that record. And they were in high school when they two of the five of them, maybe three of the five of them, were still in high school when Kazaya came out. So, the fact that they were so young, which at the time I had been graduated from high school for probably 5 or 8 years, so, or maybe not quite that long, but something along those lines. So it was kind of a wow. These guys are amazing, and I don't if this exists, should I even try and play music anymore? So yeah, that's kind of where my mindset was, and Kazaya is still easily one of my top 3 favorite records of all time, regardless of genre. So, just a phenomenal album. So that's kind of been the litmus test for everything they've put out since. This record so far has not been, I mean, it's been great. I cannot say that in a way that's not going to sound cheapened after when I say the next thing, but I love this record so far as well. I think this is a very good record. I do think, though, that they're getting a little more, they're resting a little more on their laurels, as it were. They're I don't want to call it lazy, because to play this style of music, you can't be lazy. But they're less experimental. Probably is a fair way to say that. I'm gonna try. So what we're gonna do in going into this one, I'll get to the disclaimer in a second, but what we're going to do going into this one is I'm going to try and pay a little bit more attention to the timing, because the last two have felt like 4/4 to me, or variations of 4/4, so 2/4, 8/8, so on and so forth, have felt very much, and occasionally we'll get a couple measures that are outside of that box, but by and large it feels like they're less going out on the limb with their time signatures. And that was one of the things I really, really loved about those first 2 or 3 records, is that they just didn't care about time. They wanted to make the music they were going to make. And so far, this one sounds one way, but I've been told a number of times in the comments section that no, actually, it's not 4/4. They have a single measure of 5/4. They have a single measure of 6/8. They have a single measure of this or that. So I haven't looked at the official music that they've put out, the official tabs or anything like that. So I don't know where those pieces exist. I'm just counting it by ear. And since we're listening to so much more than just the time signatures, I'm sure something like that slips by me. But it does sound like they are relying a little bit more on 4/4 than they were before. Even if those occasional measures of odd times are there, like, they're not doing sections of odd time. They're doing a measure of odd time. So therein lies the difference. So we're going to be trying to pay more attention to that than we did in the last 2 Protest the Hero reaction videos. And then let's get into the disclaimer before I get too far past it, because we're already 5 minutes in and we haven't even got to the video. So we have my script. I'll pre-record this at one point and it won't be quite so annoying. But before we get any further into this video, let's get a couple of things out of the way. First, if you want to listen to this song or watch this video in whole without my commentary, then go do that. That's not what we're here for. This is a commentary and analysis on my reaction. We are here for a conversation, not for a watch party. I swear to God, if I get more of those, why do you talk so much comments, I'm going to pull some hair out. That's what I'm going to do. Second, my analysis is my opinion. I am not claiming to be the best producer in the world. I am just claiming to be a producer, a musician, a director. I do all of these things, and I make money doing all of these things. My opinion comes from a place of knowledge. I have over 30 years of musical training and experience, 20 years as a professional musician and producer, and almost 10 years as a video producer and director. So I've done this once or twice. All that being said, we will be discussing the performance of the song by the musicians, the production of the song by the producer, and if this were a proper music video, we would be talking about the video itself. This is just the audio video, so because there is no video for Little Snakes, I don't believe. Yeah, I could not find. If there is one, send me a link and I'll try and do something with it. But yeah, right. All I can find is Little Snake's official audio. So that's what we're going to be reacting to. Now, I return you to your regularly scheduled reaction video. All right. So expectations. I expect to love this song. We're gonna go real simple, stupid with the expectations. I expect to love this song. That being said, that's all I'm laying out for expectations, because I already told you what we're going to be doing going into this as far as counting times and such. So, transition. Click. Come on, cooperate. And make it bigger. Also, I'm going to make a real quick correction to the last Protest the Hero video. Thank you. I can't remember the user's name who corrected me, but I'll probably put his name in the description of the video. Thank you to that guy for correcting me. It wasn't Roddy did not get surgery on his voice. He didn't develop vocal polyps. He just legitimately, the reason he's singing differently, because it's happened to other bands that the vocalist had to get surgery because he was using improper technique and destroyed his throat. I'm looking at you, Avenged Sevenfold. So that didn't happen to Roddy. Roddy's voice just matured, which is weird because he's like 27. So how did that happen at 27? But that is apparently what happened. So it is the reason he has changed his vocal style is because he's adapting to his new vocal cords. Not because he had any sort of polyps or improper technique. Roddy has amazing technique, and he's just still learning it. And that's the thing that I think vocally he's trying to get over it, is he's still learning this new technique. So let's get back into the song. All right, so we're getting into time signatures already. Nice. That was 6/8 right there. That whole section was 6/8. This is 4/4. I like that. Okay, so we're going to talk a little production. Now that we know I am missing those time signatures, because that section is in 6/8 and it's a lot of fun. Production wise, this is something that this record has done to me a lot so far, and that is we're losing that guitar. The lead guitar player, I don't have their names pulled up, and the only one I have memorized is Roddy and Arif, and Arif is not in the band anymore. So Roddy's vocal sits on top, right where it should. The drums are sitting right where they should, where the hi-hats are pretty close to the vocal level, and then the snare is cutting through everything, so you don't need a whole lot of volume or EQ necessarily on that snare. And then the kick is kind of where it should be. I feel like there's another issue with the kick, but we'll get to that in a little bit. The thing that we're losing the most there's some issue with the bass. We'll get into that in a minute as well. But right now we're talking about the guitar, because that lead guitar is there. It's constantly there, and it's doing some brilliant stuff, but it's sitting so low in the mix. Like if you're just listening to this casually, if you're not actually sitting down and trying to pick things apart, I feel like some of what's going on with this guitar is going to be lost. And because it is such a really great part, I feel like that volume could have been brought up. The EQ sounds fine. It's just a little bit more gain, and it would have sat in that mix much, much better. So this is the thing with Roddy's new voice. I feel like he doesn't have the same, or he's not putting in the same amount of power, maybe, or maybe it's just that that's one of the things with how his voice changed from the last record to this record, is he can't push as well as he could before. I feel like there's some of these things are just at the top of his new range, whereas before that was his bread and butter area, was where is now his top. So that might be what it is his voice is getting lower, and he's not going into those lower tones. He's staying up in the high tone area, and it's just not accommodating. I think that might be what it is. I'm sorry it took me 2 videos to find that, 3 videos even, to find that explanation, but I really think that might be what it is his voice did mature, and it dropped down a little bit, so he should be singing somewhere right here and not somewhere right here. I can't even do it, but I'm a baritone, so that kind of makes sense. Yeah. I also haven't done any vocal warm-ups. Sorry, I'm really distracted with that revelation I just had. Let's get back into the song. We're in 4/4 here. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Really great little pocket, though. I just want this mix to have more guitar in it so bad. I'm gonna walk that back half a step too. It's not just guitar. I want this mix to have both guitars and the bass in it so much more, because the bass is doing some really, we're going to go back over that section that just happened. The bass is doing some really great slap and pop that is definitely getting lost. You really have to listen to this. So I'm gonna try and shut up when I go back over this section, because listen to what the bass is actually doing. There are certain parts where it sounds like he's just playing the bottom end of the chord, because there's really when you're the rhythm section underneath a guitar player like this, there's not a whole lot of chords to go with. There is a chord that the guitar is inside, that all of those noodly notes exist inside of a chord. So there is a chord in existence. You're not necessarily hearing the chord. The rhythm guitar player is playing the chord a little more frequently because that's what the rhythm guitar is there for, is to bridge the gap between the bass and the lead. But still, we're losing the bass. I'm sorry, I got just distracted. We're losing the bass on the bottom end, and so it almost sounds like at times he is doing just that root note of the chord, or whatever the bottom note for the chord is. And I don't necessarily think he's doing that the whole way, because there's definitely, you can hear him doing some slap and pop stuff that it is one of the reasons, again, why I love Protest the Hero, because their bass work has always been great. Aref and then the guy who replaced them have always been very showy kind of bass players, and I really appreciate that kind of stuff. Ryan Martini is God. See, this isn't slap and pop. This is him doing runs. Right here. Oh, no, he is doing those root notes. He's going with the rhythm guitar player. There was a nice little run there that we... And there. This section could definitely benefit from some slap and pop. This is kind of a little disheartening as far as the bass playing goes. And I'm not a great slap and pop player, so I can't really express what I'm hearing in my head as what would have been a better route to go. This is 6/8 too. All right, so when we're talking about Rowdy's voice again, when we're here, when we are in this more subdued, melodic kind of feel, this is where his voice still shines. I feel like the belt notes, the notes that he's trying to really rip, if he can drop down by a third or a fourth, if he could even find the octave lower, I know sonically that's going to change a lot of the character of the song, a lot of the character of his voice. But I feel like he could really belt something that wasn't quite so high in his register. Because he's not inclined to do this, again, because that used to be his register. That used to be the center, the heart of where he sang. And now I don't think it is anymore. Your vacation. See, even I can do that. And again, I'm a bass. Ooh. All right, so screaming vocals. I feel like we covered this one better last time. In the last video, I didn't watch it before going into this one, and maybe I should have, but I feel like he did this better in the last video than he did here. These sound like the first protest, their self-released record. These sound like the vocals on that, the scream harsh vocals on that record, and that's not where we want to go. We don't want to move backwards. We want to move forwards. There is maybe he just needs to hook up with Melissa Cross, man, because she will change his vocal, will change his life. I don't know if she's going to change his vocal. That's probably the wrong thing to say, but if you all right, so listen to the character of Roddy's voice here. There is a lot happening in his throat and not a lot happening from his diaphragm. I don't care which voice you're using. Head voice, chest voice, or any of the above, and any other voice characteristics you're looking for, your source of power is always your diaphragm. If your source of power becomes your throat, that's when things start to get hurt. The dump, as Melissa Cross puts it. So the throat, it sounds like he's pushing from here, and that just is not. We covered this in the first Protest the Hero reaction video from this record. I made that same point there. It sounds like he's pushing too much from here and not enough from here. So I'm worried about what's going to happen to Roddy going forward. See, hear that the squeak at the top. Here, listen to the squeak. That, I feel like the guitar is brought forward now. I like that. I like that a lot. That really dissonant chord at the end of that run. And then we got this little bridge back into it. Yeah. Yeah. Bass, baby. Yeah. Listen to that. Was that it? Was that the whole song? Oh, that was the whole song. This is what I'm talking about, asymmetrical song structure, though. We have a very clear verse, we have an occasional chorus, and then we have all of the other things that happen that aren't repeated. Listen to this. This is my favorite part of this whole song. That's why we went back. I love what they can do with the chord, because each of these little runs exists inside of a chord, inside the overall key of the song. And then we got that little love it. Love it. So we got some 6/8 in this bad boy here. Let's let's get back into this. Hold on. All right. So we got some 6/8 inside this bad boy. I'm sure there were a couple of measures in there that I missed too, but there were whole sections of this song that were in a non-4/4 derivative. So that makes my heart fill with joy. Also, very asymmetrical song structure. So also another thing that makes my heart just brim full of all of the beautiful things. I love this band so much. I feel like I honestly believe that these songs are going to sound differently live. I think what Roddy is doing on this recording is very early on in his finding his new voice. So I think he's going to either find better ways to hit those notes physically, like find the physicality that it takes to get on top of that range again, or he's going to make different note choices. Being as everyone is locked down right now, I don't know if we're ever going to see that happen, or I don't know when we're going to see that happen, because eventually it will happen. But when it does, I feel like that's going to be prime material for the other music appreciation series of videos that I'm trying to get up off the ground right now. So, yeah, this was good. I really liked this. I feel like this is the Protest the Hero that I wanted on this record. We got glimpses of it in the last song, and very, very few and far between on the first song. So, as I said, again, the first time, I can't remember the name of the songs that we've done so far, but as I said on the first Protest the Hero reaction video, I hope that one is not indicative of the rest of the record. I do, though, hope this song is indicative of the rest of the record, and I will find that out probably as soon as I'm done recording this video, because, like I said, I bought it. I just haven't listened to it yet. Yeah, awesome. Love it. Thank you, Protest the Hero. You guys rock my freaking face off. That is the end of the video, guys. What did you think of the song? What did you think of what I had to say about the song? Let's have that conversation down in the comments section. There's other things that happen on this channel. I do a twice-a-week nerd news show. If you are falling behind in your nerd news, you want to see all of the things that are happening in movies, music, comic books, video games. All of this stuff is what we talk about. Television is what we talk about on the nerd news, the show. It's called The Week in Nerddom. I'll transition here. Check that out. All right. So it's called The Week in Nerddom. You can find it. It's in that thing that says, this thing over here that says other nerdy things. That is the master playlist. That is every video on the channel. Everything goes there. So the Week in Nerddom is on there as well. You can check out other reaction videos by clicking that one. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, thank you. If you're new to the channel, welcome. This is only one of the many things that we do here, so thank you very much, nerds. Before we head out, generallynerdy.net is the website, patreon.com/generallynerdy if you want to support. Before we finally head out, nerds, always remember that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.